Okay, the time has come. Today I'm gonna start to cut off my dreadlocks. Before we cut them, let's just take one last look. So I washed them yesterday and they're always extra frizzy for like 2 or 3 days after I wash them. But this is what they look like right now. Um, yeah, these were freeform dreadlocks, so I didn't do any maintenance. I didn't have starter locks. I didn't section my hair at all. I literally just washed my hair and let it knot up. The most I did was like make sure I didn't have a section that was too large because this is my second set of dreadlocks, and I learned from my first set that were semi freeform that larger sections tend to pull on your scalp more. So yeah, I just made sure none of them were too big. So I'm cutting them because, like most of my life decisions, my intuition just lets me know certain things. And today I was just walking around doing errands, not thinking about my hair at all. And then out of the blue, like there was just this very clear, um, I guess not voice, but like, yeah, this clear knowing that today was going to be the day. Um, and throughout my life, I've had these moments with other things, and they're usually not things that I want to do or that are logical to me. Many times it's just like, I just know I have to do them. So this is one of those things. So I can like rationalize why I'm cutting them, and like there are logical reasons, but none of those things actually made me finally decide to cut them. I just know that it's time and it's something that needs to happen. So that being said, um, that same feeling is the reason I started them. I thought I would talk about this while doing my hair, but I feel like I need to just talk about it without being distracted by cutting my hair. So we'll get to that very soon. But before I get to that, yeah. So the reason I started it, there wasn't a reason. It just intuitively, I was like, oh, it's time to dread my hair or let it lock up. Um, I wasn't planning on it. I didn't like give it much thought. I was just like, oh, it's time to let my hair lock up. And so I did. I started in June 17th, 2023. I was living in Hawaii, and I was actually in a very abusive relationship. And I was in the middle of like trying to find a way out. Um, it wasn't physically abusive, but there were signs that it could have gone there eventually. Um, but yeah, just emotionally, psychologically, financially abusive. And yeah, so yeah, I was in the midst of that. That was going on. Um, and I didn't relate my hair to, or my decision to lock up my hair to what was going on in my life. It just, again, it was just an intuitive decision. A month later, I got pregnant, and 3 months after that, so after my first trimester, I decided to just leave. So I packed up all my things and left that relationship and left Hawaii. Um, so yeah, that's probably a topic for another story or for another video. But that's just to give you some context. And, you know, the process I went through to lock up my hair, or to let my hair lock up, took 2.5 years for it to get to this point. And through all that, I went through my pregnancy, I went through my labor, I went through the process and transition of becoming a new mother and a single mother on top of that. And I went through moving out of state and like trying to rebuild my life. So there's just like so much that went on in my external world while my hair was locking up. And, if anyone is familiar, hair holds so much energy. There's so much that goes into like your relationship with your hair. Um, Especially for me, I have such a complex relationship with my hair. And so, yeah, if you're familiar with that, you know that your hair holds on to things. Like, even on a physical level, like whatever you're ingesting or whatever substances you might intake, your hair shows that, like, it keeps that history. So, yeah, you can imagine how much experience my hair has locked into it. And in hindsight, it I came to realize, like, my intuitive decision to lock up my hair was because my spirit was trying to have me feel more empowered. And letting your hair freeform lock brings up a lot of stuff, and what it comes down to is like trusting the process and loving every version of yourself that you have to go through before it becomes locked. So, like, you could look at my old videos, my hair looked like a bird's nest for like 2 years. Like, I looked like a mess. And it's finally looking like actual dreadlocks. And so, I've been fighting. I originally thought about cutting them back in December. And I was like, no, I want to wait it out. Like, I want to see them be long and like tight and like all of that. And a part of me still really feels that way. But the idea of cutting them off keeps coming up. And so I had a video on social media, on Instagram, go kind of viral. And it got a ton of like hate about, because I'm a light skinned, straight hair, I shouldn't have locks. So yeah, I got a lot of shit for it, and I was like, just making sure that wasn't the reason I was cutting it. Um, because yeah, the whole reason I did freeform locks is to empower myself and to not care what people think, and to just love myself. Um, yeah. So I was like, I want to make sure that's not why I'm cutting them, is to like feel more accepted by people. Yeah. So anyway, see, now I'm like second guessing everything. I guess I need to like verbally process this out loud so that I feel better about cutting them. The other thing is that I'm the kind of person that loves change and like embraces it and is always ready to meet the new version of myself after going through like a growth period. So I think the lesson here is that I don't need to rely on my hair looking big and like this in order for me to feel my inner power. Um, it really did help me. Um, and I do feel like this hairstyle, if I'm just looking at it as a hairstyle and not like an entire spiritual process, it does feel very fitting for me. Like, I don't know, it just fits my personality really well. Um, and I've had every possible hairstyle and length, and I've never felt comfortable in any of it. I've never felt like, oh, this is me. It always feels like I'm like, no, that's not it. Like, I've never gotten the same haircut twice because nothing ever felt like me. Um, and dreadlocks just feel like me. And I think part of that same thought process is like, I'm tired of people misunderstanding me and seeing me as smaller and quieter, and less bold than I actually am. And I feel like dreadlocks just allow people to see that I'm not quiet and a pushover and all the like a submissive little girl. Like I've always felt like that's how people view me, and like having dreadlocks finally makes me feel like okay, like I'm not that. I'm not submissive. I'm not like shy or anything. Like I'm bold. I'm just a bold person. But maybe it's time to not rely on my hair to do the talking for me. Maybe it's time for me to be able to do that for myself through my words and how I carry myself. I think that's the lesson there. Yeah. And on top of that, like I've never been one to label myself or identify like with one description or one role. And I feel like I don't want to be identified as the girl with dreadlocks. Like, I don't like people knowing what to expect from me. As soon as people start to like think they know me, I'm like, you're wrong. Like, I'm not that person. Because I'm always changing. So yeah, I'm like, I don't want people to think I'm identifying as the girl with dreadlocks. Like, yeah. But that being said, this is not an easy thing to do. Anyone with dreadlocks knows that. Like, you build such a relationship with your locks and seeing them change and mature and grow. And anyone that's grown their hair knows that. I want to make sure I'm doing this for the right reasons and not for something that is temporary or will change. Like, I want to know that I'm going to feel really good about this afterwards. I just don't want to regret it, essentially, because it did take almost 3 years for my hair to do this. So, yeah, now I'm wondering, I'm like, wait, maybe my intuition was telling me to cut it because I just need to make this video about why I have them. Oh, it's like once my brain gets involved, it's over. It's like I'm screwed because I will just flip flop back and forth forever. Ugh. And the shitty thing is that like if I do this, I'm gonna start with my bottom locks, and those are my oldest ones. So it's like I have to start right away with like the hardest ones to let go of. Okay, I'm gonna sit with this a little bit more before I cut any of them. Um, okay, so now I'm second guessing this, so I'm going to have to convince myself to do it. Um, because at the end of the day, I'm like, I know I'll just keep going back and forth. So I have to just make the choice. And what's going to help that is to really actually just logically list the pros and cons of this whole thing. The pros was basically all the reasons why I started them, and the fact that this feels like a hairstyle that's authentic to me. Um, but the cons, there's a lot of cons. One, maintenance. Like, washing my hair is a big deal. Like, it takes an entire day to dry it. Um, it's uncomfortable because it's pretty heavy. And then, I have really tight mats, or yeah. And because they're so tight, they're not as flexible. So when I'm sleeping, I can feel them often, and it's like a whole thing when I'm sleeping to like get them out of my, like, make sure my head is comfortable. So yeah, convenience, and comfortability, and then also the whole controversy of light skinned people having dreadlocks. Like, that is huge, and I do want to acknowledge how much of a thing it is and where I stand in there, because I haven't addressed it because for a few reasons, but I think now I might as well address it. So I didn't realize a lot of white people with dreadlocks claim that it's from like Viking culture. And they're like, no, white people had dreadlocks first. So I guess that's like a lot of white people do that. Um, so I didn't realize that. And I think that's why I got some of the hate that I got was because people think that I'm white and that I like that's where I stand. But yeah, that to me is so ridiculous. um like dreadlocks are so obviously part of African culture and the black community. So I'm like, it didn't occur to me to like state that because I'm like, that's so obvious. Why would I like talk about dreadlocks and be like, by the way, this is like from African culture? Like, yeah. So I never stated that. And so people thought I don't know, they made assumptions. But yeah, like, I don't know if everyone knows this, but we all started in Africa. Like, that's where humans started. Um, so of course they were the first to do it. Okay, anyway, so basically, I just don't want to be grouped in with a bunch of white people that um, feel that way. And I live in a predominantly black community, and it, like, a part of me feels uncomfortable and guilty that I might be making other people uncomfortable by just like having them, and they're not sure where I stand with it. And I have been approached a few times in person with people that were obviously wanted to express that they were upset with my hair. I realized ever since those encounters, like I kind of am always looking over my back to see like how people are feeling around me when I go to a grocery store and do laundry. Like if I'm just out and about in my community, I'm like, are people mad at me? Are they judging me right now? It will be nice to not have to deal with that. But at the same time, I know that that's not a solution. Like the problem is not me having dreadlocks. It's the like entire history of, um, you know, American history between black and white. But yeah, anyway, so that is a con, is to like think that people are assuming things about me that are totally untrue. And then finally, this is last on my list, but there are days when I struggle with how I look. It's funny because as they were forming, I didn't care as much, but now that they actually look like dreadlocks, I care more about what I look like. I'm like, I want them to be like all the way there now. I feel like they're like 10% away from being acceptable. Then finally, I've thought about it. I was like, okay, what if I keep them and let them get long and like defined and all that? And I'm like, so then what? I'm just like never gonna cut them? Or it's just gonna get harder and harder to cut them. So yeah, I'm like, why? What? Yeah. And you know, both times that I had dreadlocks, my mom particularly, I want to say, hated them, um, but just felt strongly. She's like, I don't know why you're doing that. Like, every once in a while, she still is just like, yeah, I don't get it. Like, you have beautiful hair and it's not convenient for you. And she just like can't wrap her head around it. And like part of me wants to fight that and is like, I'm not going to have my hair the way you want it just because. So basically, she grew up with very thick, frizzy hair and like always wanted hair like mine. And so I'm like, I don't want you to just like live vicariously through me and like give into that. I guess if I cut it, one plus side will be that she'll be very happy. The last time I cut my hair, my friend Amina cut it right before I moved to Hawaii. And I feel like it's very significant. that like that same hair is on my head from when I moved to Hawaii. Um, like all of that hair is still there on me, and part of me wants to carry it with me as like a learning experience from everything I went through, um, and to like hold on to that wisdom that's like in my hair. But I think I don't need my hair to do that for me. And I think energetically it will be better if I release those memories and that time in my life, um, and welcome in new energy and new experiences. Um, yeah. So I think now I feel ready. That was a lot more that I planned on sharing, and I know most of you probably didn't listen to it all, but this is really for me. So yeah, I think I'm ready to cut.